Have you ever wondered how one man's wisdom could shape entire kingdoms, calm raging storms, and even bring people of different faiths together? Picture a leader whose story is recorded in both the Bible and the Quran, a story passed down through generations that continues to inspire hearts and minds. And today, we invite you to step into a world where God's guidance meets human effort, a world illuminated by the life of Prophet Solomon. His tale is not just an ancient legend, it is a living example of how divine gifts, fair judgments, and miraculous signs can transform a kingdom. As you listen, imagine a time when every stone, every whisper of the wind, and every act of kindness was a sign of God's blessing. This is the story of Solomon, a story that teaches us that true power comes not from brute force, but from wisdom, compassion, and a deep connection with the Creator. In biblical times, Solomon is introduced in the Hebrew Bible as the son of King David, chosen by God to rule over a vast and prosperous kingdom. In 1 Kings 3:12, God tells Solomon, "I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be." This simple yet powerful promise sets the stage for Solomon's reign, a reign marked by thoughtful decisions, fair judgments, and a spirit of justice. This divine gift of wisdom was not earned by mere study or human effort. It was a special endowment from God meant to guide him in every aspect of leadership. In Jewish tradition, Solomon is celebrated as the paragon of wisdom and understanding, a leader whose insights continue to be revered by many today. His ability to rule with fairness and kindness became a model for all who sought to lead with integrity, and his story remains a beacon of hope for those who believe in the power of divine guidance. The Quran, too, honors Solomon, known in Arabic as Sulaiman, with great respect for his wisdom and his unique abilities. In Surah An-Naml 27:15-19, Allah reminds us, "And we had certainly given David and Solomon knowledge." This verse reinforces the idea that Solomon's wisdom was a precious gift granted by Allah to help him rule justly and to serve as an example for others. It is a clear reminder that his great insights did not come from human effort alone, but were bestowed upon him by the Almighty. This shared message between the Bible and the Quran emphasizes that true wisdom is a divine gift, one that must be nurtured and used for the benefit of all. Both scriptures tell us that Solomon's deep understanding and fair judgment were signs of his special connection with God, making his reign a time of peace and prosperity for his people. But Solomon's gifts went far beyond wisdom alone. He was also endowed with extraordinary abilities that allowed him to perform miracles and exercise power over both the natural world and the unseen realm. In the Quran, we find vivid descriptions of these miraculous abilities. In Surah Sad 34:12-14, Allah explains how even the winds obeyed Solomon's command. "And to Solomon we subjected the wind. Its morning journey was that of a month, and its afternoon journey was that of a month." Imagine that, winds moving with such precision and speed, as if guided by an unseen hand. This control over the natural elements is a clear sign that Solomon's strength came from his close bond with Allah, not from his own physical power. It is a stunning reminder that the natural world itself follows the divine order, and that a leader who aligns with that order can command even the forces of nature. In addition to his control over the wind, the Quran tells us that Solomon was given power over jinn, spiritual beings created from smokeless fire. Although the Bible does not mention these beings explicitly, Jewish tradition has long hinted at Solomon's connection with the unseen world. Islamic scholars like Ibn Kathir and Al-Tabari have explained that Solomon's mastery over the jinn was not a display of his personal might, but rather a sign of Allah's favor and a demonstration of divine wisdom at work. These jinn, along with the natural elements, were subservient to his commands, showing that his authority extended far beyond the human realm. Such miracles remind us that Solomon's gifts were meant to serve his people and to guide them in living according to God's will. They are powerful symbols that true leadership involves more than just worldly power. It requires a deep, abiding trust in the divine. One of the most famous and celebrated stories from Solomon's life is his wise judgment in a difficult case that has become a symbol of justice and empathy. In the Bible, found in 1 Kings 3:16-28, there is the well-known tale of two women who came before Solomon, each claiming to be the true mother of a child. Faced with a heartbreaking dispute, Solomon proposed to divide the child in two, knowing that the real mother would rather give up her claim than see her child harmed. When one of the women immediately begged him to spare the child, Solomon recognized her as the true mother. This story, rich in moral insight, teaches us that true wisdom lies in understanding the heart of a person, in caring for the vulnerable, and in seeking justice with compassion. Islamic scholars and Jewish tradition alike hold this judgment in high regard, seeing it as a timeless lesson in empathy and the protection of life. It reminds us that leaders should always choose mercy over harshness, and that understanding human nature is key to making fair decisions. Another powerful aspect of Solomon's legacy is his deep connection with the natural world, a connection that is beautifully portrayed in the Quran. In one striking image, the wind is described as moving in a carefully measured manner, as if it has been tamed by divine command. And to Solomon, we subjected the wind. Its morning journey was that of a month, and its afternoon journey was that of a month, says Surah Sad 34:12. This vivid picture shows us a world where every element, from the softest breeze to the mightiest gust, obeys the divine order. It reminds us that nature itself is a reflection of God's will, and that a wise ruler, like Solomon, works in harmony with these natural laws. This harmony between human leadership and the natural order is a key lesson for us even today, suggesting that true power comes from living in tune with the world around us and respecting the balance that God has set. There is also a beautiful and touching episode mentioned in the Quran that highlights Solomon's compassion towards even the smallest creatures. When Solomon's army marched through a narrow valley, an ant warned its companions to hide so as not to be crushed by the marching soldiers. This seemingly small event carries a profound message. Every creature, no matter how small, has a role in God's creation. While this story does not appear in the Bible, it is celebrated in Jewish tradition as well, reinforcing the idea that true wisdom involves caring for all of God's creations. It teaches us to value every life, to recognize the importance of even the tiniest being, and to understand that all of creation is interconnected. Such lessons are especially relevant in our modern world, where the environment and all living creatures are in need of care and respect. Throughout the centuries, scholars from Islamic, Jewish, and Christian traditions have studied Solomon's life to learn what it means to be a truly wise and just leader. Classical Islamic scholars like Ibn Kathir have pointed out that Solomon's ability to command both the seen and unseen worlds was not for his own glory, but to show that every power ultimately comes from Allah. His life is a living lesson that when we are blessed with gifts, whether they be in knowledge, leadership, or talent, we have a duty to use them for the good of all, rather than for personal gain. This message is echoed in both the Bible and in Jewish teachings that admire Solomon for his fair and thoughtful judgment. Both the Bible and the Quran agree on one important truth. True wisdom is a gift from God that must be used with humility. In 1 Kings 3:12, Solomon's special gift of a wise and discerning heart is presented as a divine blessing that set him apart from all other leaders. The Quran too emphasizes that the knowledge and abilities given to Solomon were not earned through human effort alone, but were granted by Allah to serve a higher purpose. This shared understanding across these sacred texts tells us that our talents and gifts are meant to be used for the betterment of society, to guide us toward fairness and justice, and to help us care for one another with compassion. Today, the lessons of Solomon's life continue to resonate with leaders and individuals alike. In a world that often seems divided and chaotic, his example shows us that true leadership is not about ruling with an iron fist, but about serving others with kindness and fairness. His story reminds us that wisdom is more than just knowledge. It is a deep inner light that guides us through difficult decisions and moral challenges. In our own lives, whether we face personal struggles or global issues, the principles of justice, empathy, and humility that Solomon embodied offer us a timeless guide. As we reflect on the legacy of Prophet Solomon, we are reminded that his miraculous abilities and fair judgments were all signs of divine favor, a reminder that true power comes from aligning ourselves with God's plan. From the clear words of the Quran in Surah An-Naml and Surah Sad, to the celebrated passages in 1 Kings 3:12 and 1 Kings 10:1-13 in the Bible, the story of Solomon teaches us that every act of guidance, every wise decision, and every miracle is a gift meant to benefit all of humanity. Jewish tradition too honors Solomon's wisdom and fairness, echoing the idea that leadership built on divine principles is eternal and universal. In the spirit of these teachings, many modern scholars and spiritual leaders look to Solomon's example as a reminder that our own lives can be transformed by wisdom and compassion. When we use our gifts to serve others, to listen with empathy, and to act justly, we honor the divine legacy that Solomon left behind. His life challenges us to ask ourselves, how can we use our own talents and knowledge to create a better, fairer world? How can we ensure that our actions reflect the deep truth that true leadership is a service to all? In closing, the story of Prophet Solomon is not merely a chapter from ancient history. It is a living guide for anyone who seeks to lead with truth and justice. Whether we learn about his life through the Bible, the Quran, or Jewish tradition, the message remains clear. True wisdom is a divine gift, one that calls upon us to use our abilities for the good of all people. As we face our own challenges and strive to build a more peaceful society, let us remember the lessons of Solomon's life, a life marked by miracles, fair judgments, and a deep connection to the divine. Thank you for joining us on this in-depth journey into the life and legacy of Prophet Solomon. May his story inspire you to embrace wisdom, act with fairness, and use your own gifts to make the world a kinder, more just place. Let us all remember that when wisdom is nurtured with humility and guided by God's truth, it can light up even the darkest times and lead us toward a future filled with peace and understanding.